All right, welcome to the Erik Williamson Show, episode number 27. This is the New Year's special. Um, greatest, it's probably be one of the greatest episodes of all time because it's my favorite subject, which is some of the listeners, some of you favorite thing, reading, reading. So what is that? It is speed reading. And I read 50 books, over 50 books in 2025 this last year. So this episode was recorded 2005, but we released on New Year's. So 50 bucks. It's a lot of books. I think the average CEO reads over 60 books a year. It's not like full books. They read the notes and stuff like too, but reading is really critical. And what it does is saves time. So if you're spending an hour a day reading emails and you could speed read and triple your speed reading, you can read it in 20 minutes and still retain, if not more, because you train your brain to retain more and recall more. And just because you read slow doesn't mean you retain more. There are people who read slow and they still don't retain. So I was one of those people. I would read really slow. I read one book a month and I would retain. Now I read 4 books or 5 books a month and I retain. So I retain way more. And so I want to talk about the stages, but one of the decisions I made, because my mentors have a vision statement, and my vision with this podcast is to donate some of the profits to animal shelters and hungry kids in Philippines and US. So why do I pick those two things that I'm passionate about? Because it's something I've been sponsoring for over 10 years. I've been sponsoring animal shelters and kids have been paying all their bills, the food, shelter, water, and education. Uh, for the kids, I would sponsor all the kid in a third world country. I've done countries, Africa, South America, Mexico, Philippines. So passionate about Philippines because my spouse is from Philippines, and so is my extended family there in Philippines. So there's a lot of children that are hungry there. And also I'm gonna do United States too, providing meals to children. And why do I passionate about this is because animals and children can't fend for themselves. So adults can. Animals, they're limited in their ability to feed themselves. They can hunt, they can salvage. That's about it. People can make money and buy food and make food and garden and all these things, whereas animals, they really can't do that stuff. And people, children can't either. So that's what I'm passionate about is helping children that are missing meals and housing. Uh, my end goal with this podcast is build this so it provides shelter for children and animals too. So dogs and cats have food and shelter and a place to live so they're not stray unless the county wants them to be stray. But and then my end goal is to go to wildlife. So start doing wildlife preservation and things like that because I'm really passionate about animals and kids. Uh, yeah. So with that, I decided to teach for free this year. So I'm gonna do book reviews and course reviews where you get knowledge, but also I'm going to teach what I know, and I know a lot. I've actually helped 2 people make over $1 million, one in real estate, one in the stock market, and I helped someone make significant amount of money in business with my knowledge on taxes, financing, and anything like that. So, and I had a coaching business uh, for a while. I used to charge for my advice and do webinars. And I found that there's a lot of people out there that need help. And with for what I know about money, business, trading, and investing, and about reading and personal development, I can make an impact. So with that, uh, this episode's only episode, but really talking about it. I think at the end of the year, I might talk about the results of how many kids and animals were taken care of because of the podcast. But this is my third year in the podcast. So enough of that. Let's get into what you were really here for, which is learning to read 48 books in the year 2026, 20 minutes a day. So let's get into it. Some resources, additional resources that you can pay money to learn more from this free educational event. Rapid reading, breakthrough rapid reading, which you can find on Amazon, and Jim Quick, his course on speed reading. Those are the two resources I recommend. I'll put them in the show notes. Highly recommend that you get that. But with that, I will go into it. So there's a couple of stages for reading to read faster. And the first stage is pacer. So get a pacer. So that can be your index finger or a pen. So the this pen, or we can read faster. Sorry, that's my dog. You can read faster. And that's the first stage. So you want to read fast with that. And then you start reading, pushing yourself. So if you actually do the math and you read pretty fast, sorry, that's my dog. Yeah, close the door. Uh, I don't really edit my podcast, so because it's a lot of work and it's not a lot of money for the stuff. But anyways, um, yeah, pacer. So you want to pace yourself. So you want to read with a finger or a pen, and you'll double your reading speed. Double. So you cut your reading in half. Why is that? So number one, you stop sub vocalizing. So you stop sub vocalizing. So that means when you read as a kid, you read out loud, and then you read in your brain. You speak to yourself while you read. And think of speed reading like looking at a picture. So you look at a Mona Lisa portrait, you don't look at each individual part of the image for 5 or 10 minutes and then go, oh, it's a picture of Mona Lisa. No, you just look at it and your brain goes, Mona Lisa. Then when you watch a movie, you don't look at each individual part specs on the scene to understand what's going on. No, you just look at it and your brain goes, oh, that's what's happening. Well, it's the same with reading. So when you read, you understand in images. So the first stage is pacer, second stage is visual, last stage is photo. So the second stage is visual. So visual is reading groups of words to groups of sentences to the page, paragraph. So words, sentences, paragraph, page. So you start by training your eyes to read 2, 3 words at one time, and then skipping to the next 2, 3 words, next 2, 3 words. And so you triple your reading. So if you're reading 1 word at a time and you're reading 3 words at a time, you just triple your speed. How you do that? You do with a pacer, because that allows you for your eyes to focus. So you can skip the page with your finger or skip the page with your pen. And then and where I'm at a paragraph. So I read paragraphs or sometimes groups of sentences to get to where I get the visual reading and I read faster. And then finally is page, which is photo reading, which is you read just as fast as you look at the page. And that's like Thomas Edison. I know Ben Franklin, he read a book a day. He read a book in the morning. That's how you read, you photo read. And there's people out there that read, photo read, and they do retain. and it's basically like watching a movie. So when you read, instead of reading and thinking of words, you think of pictures in your brain. So your brain thinks of pictures and images, and then you just read. And then another concept to retaining more is reading the book more than one time. So some books, like Warren Buffett, he read the Security Analysis 4 times, which is a over 700-page book. That's the thing, you got to read stuff over and over and over again to really understand it. You can't just read it one time to understand it. Especially if you read a 500-page book, how can you remember everything in that 500-page book? Well, you remember by reading it more than 3 or 4 times. And so if you read, let's say you take one book to read for the entire month, you can read it 4 times. That's like reading 4 books a month. You just read the same book once a week, every week, and then you're going to retain it. So that's the key to retention. You got to read and read. So, and the next is comprehension. So the way you increase comprehension is you have a dictionary with you. So a lot of reasons why you have a hard time reading is you don't understand the words. Well, the best practice to understand more words is have a dictionary. So you have a word you don't understand when reading, you look it up in the dictionary. And then you learn, you increase your vocabulary. I like Kindle because you can just highlight the word and you can read it fast. So that's good. And then comprehension. So the example of comprehension is understanding what you read while you're reading it. That's comprehension. Recall is remembering the information after you read it. So there's three things. There's speed, comprehension, and recall. So you got to work on all three things. And it took me about 6 years to get to reading over 1,000 words per minute. If you actually follow my advice and do the drill, so you drill yourself. So like breakthrough rap reading book because there's drills on there. So you got to work at it. So it's like anything in life, you got to work at it. But is it worth the work? Yes. If you can read 4 books a month, 50 books a year, read newspapers, read magazines, and read your emails way faster, is it worth the work? Yes. Is it going to take you 6 years? No. It'll probably take you about 6 months to a year to read about 1,000 words per minute. It's not going to be overnight. You have to be consistently work at it. Reading 20 minutes a day is like exercise for the brain. So it makes you think faster, and it helps exercise your brain. So it helps with memory. You can do the 100-page, 150-page challenge where you read 150 pages a week. Uh, there's newspaper news. So I read the Wall Street Journal every day. I read a newspaper every day. I read The Economist. I read magazines, and I read 4 or 5 books a month. So much reading I do, a lot of reading, and I don't spend a lot of time. I spend about 20, 30 minutes a day reading. That's it, and I read all that. So and my emails, I read my emails in like 5 minutes at work. So 5 minutes reading emails at work. So it just creates a lot of time. Um, and also speed reading depends on what you're reading. So if you're reading technical information, you can't read it as fast. So if you're reading a book on engineering, you can't like really page read that. So maybe there's somebody that can, but you really can't. You have to like read it, read it, read it kind of slow, not word for word, but read it slower than you read a novel. So what you read is determines the speed of your read. So certain business books can be read fast. They're conversational, like Tony Robbins, but they're very technical, like security analysis. You can't really read it that fast. So it just depends on what you're reading. So my 1,000 word per minute is not for all material. Some materials I read slow, like security analysis or college books, and then novels I read super fast. I can read a novel in one day. Uh, I know my grandmother; she used to be able to read a novel in one day. So you reading fast is key. So just to summarize, uh, stage one is pacer. So get that, master that till you get about 300 to 400 words per minute. So once you master that, get the visual, which is you start reading groups of words, groups of sentences, groups, and then paragraphs. And then once you're able to read paragraphs, get to page. And then once you're page, that's which is photo reading, which is you can read just as fast as you turn the page. That's where I want to get at someday, is the photo reading. And it's a lot of work to get to that stage. I've been working on this for 6 years, and it's not an overnight success. It takes a lot of work, but you know what? It's worth it. It's worth it. It really is worth it. And reading gives you an edge. It doesn't make you successful per se, but you know what? A lot of successful people read. Warren Buffett reads. Bill Gates reads. Uh, they read business books, and a lot of successful people are authors. So they're very well read. So reading makes a difference. Leaders are readers. So with that, like I said, this year I'm just going to teach free knowledge. All I ask is you listen to the advertisements and listen to the whole episode, and I'll donate the proceeds to a portion of the proceeds to animal shelters and children that are hungry. And at the end of the year, I'll recap how much the podcast, how many people were able to sponsor, and how many animal shelters we donated money to. And this is my third year, and it's going to be a good year. This is the Erik Williamson podcast. If you found value, please rate and subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. No disclaimer in this episode because I'm not really teaching financial or tax or health advice. I'm just teaching how to read. So I hope you find value in this episode. Share it with a friend. I'll put the show notes, the resources, that book, Jim Quick, if you want to pay money and get more knowledge. But to be honest with you, you don't really need to do that. You just need to put in the link and go through the stages, like I said. So stage one, pacer, just get in the habit of reading with your finger or a pen and just keep pushing yourself to read faster and faster. Count your words per minute, which is reading, do a page or a couple paragraphs and then count the words in each sentence and average it out and then divide it by the number of sentences and you get the amount of words per minute you read, so how fast you read. And you want to document that on a weekly basis and try to improve your word per minute. And the way you increase your recall is by taking notes while you read or jotting down 5 or 10 minutes after that after your session of reading. So after your session of reading, you can document it. Recall, that's how you improve your ability to recall, and then read your notes. And then finally, read the book more than one time. So I know it's a lot of work and boring. So if you read a really boring book, you thought you got it, you know what? Read it 3 or 4 times, and then read the notes on it too, and then you'll fully comprehend the book. So with that, take charge. This is the Erik Williamson Show. God bless, and you have a great day.